You ever come home after midnight, dead tired from a week on the road, and just know something's off before you even step out of the truck? That was me, Marcus, 52, construction foreman, no-nonsense kind of guy, pulling up to my own driveway at 11 p.m. after 600 miles behind the wheel. And there they were, police lights, flashing away like I'd broken into Fort Knox. Turns out, in Pine Ridge, Montana, coming home early from a business trip is apparently all it takes to get treated like a criminal on your own land. Picture this. I grab my keys, ready for a beer on my grandfather's dock, but instead I see some blonde woman in my kitchen, brewing coffee like she's lived there for months. Before I can say a word, I hear it. "Sir, step away from the vehicle. You're trespassing on private property." Officer Ramirez, badge gleaming. I hold up my keys, heart pounding. "Officer, this is my property." That's when Constance, yeah, our resident HOA queen, slips out from behind the squad car, all smug and smirking, like she's already planned my downfall. She goes, "Actually, officer, this man abandoned his property weeks ago. My friend Belle's been legally house-sitting." And just like that, I'm 2 seconds from being cuffed for breaking into my own house, while a stranger sips my coffee and the police try to figure out who's got the better story. You ever had the ground shift right under your feet? Because that's exactly how it felt. And let me tell you, if you think this can't happen to you, you haven't met the right HOA. Or maybe the wrong one. So let's rewind, because none of this madness makes sense unless you know how it started. I'm Marcus Diacro. 3 years back, I inherited the most beautiful slice of Montana you can imagine. 2 acres, right on Pine Ridge Lake, a place my granddad Ezra built himself, bore by board, back in '87. He survived the Depression, fought in Korea, laid railroad track for decades. When he retired, he poured everything into that cabin and dock. It was supposed to be my retirement plan, too. Keep working construction till 60, then coffee on the dock every morning. Nobody bothering me. Simple dream. That was before Lakewood Vista Estates came along like a swarm of locusts. Some California developer bought the old farmland next door and dropped 47 cookie-cutter McMansions on what used to be decent pasture. Each house more expensive than anything I'll earn in a decade. All infinity pools and spotless 3-car garages for people who've probably never swung a hammer in their life. And suddenly, the air that used to smell like pine and lake mud started smelling like chlorine and money. But the real plague wasn't the houses. It was Constance Blackwood. Picture every nightmare you've ever had about an HOA president, then add a white Tesla, designer yoga pants, and a habit of filing noise complaints about songbirds. She spent nearly $1 million for lake life, then made it her personal mission to control everything and everyone nearby. Her first act as president, demanding I tear out the dock my grandfather built, said it ruined the view shed. I stood there, feet on those old planks, try not to laugh. "Ma'am, this dock was here before your neighborhood was even a sketch on a napkin." Didn't matter. "The HOA has authority," she said. My lawyer said otherwise. Riparian rights don't care about Constance's aesthetic sensibilities. But she wasn't one to let reality get in her way. She kicked off a campaign of anonymous complaints, tried to sick the county on me for unpermitted structures, which, by the way, had been standing longer than half the houses in town. It was about 3 months back that things started getting truly strange. I come home after work trips and notice lights on in the cabin, garden hoses running, mail missing. Cameras I'd hidden in a birdhouse caught the kicker. Some blonde, mid-30s, making herself at home. Belle Winters, lifestyle consultant from San Francisco. So Constance claimed, supposedly house-sitting while she was out of town. Which, funny enough, she never was. Turned out Belle was charging tourists $200 a night for authentic lakefront retreats in my house. She'd set up shop using my fire pit, my lake access, and what really got me, she'd decorated with my grandfather's hand-carved fishing lures just strewn across the coffee table. I should have seen it coming when the county assessor called about some property transfer paperwork. Instead, I got distracted with a big Denver job. 3 weeks, 18 grand. Couldn't pass it up. Before leaving, I asked my neighbor Floyd to keep an eye out, pack some extra security gear, and try to shake the feeling that I'd left a door wide open for trouble. Biggest mistake of my life. Because, apparently, going to work is now abandoning property in Constance's world. Which brings us back to that late-night cop show on my driveway. Officer Bennett, clearly the one with more experience, looked over my deed, my tax records, and finally told Ramirez he's the legal owner. I remember my lawyer saying squatters' rights in Montana need 5 years, not 12 days. Turns out, Constance's legal expertise came straight from Pinterest and pure delusion. Her story fell apart in real time, but Belle wasn't done. She came out, silk pajamas, my late wife's chipped coffee mug in hand, tears ready to flow, and claimed she'd been terrorized while caring for abandoned property under a lease. She had paperwork, too, with a forged signature and a backdated timeline. The kind of con job that makes your blood run cold. But see, I wasn't completely helpless. Hold up the security footage right there on my phone. Timestamps didn't lie. Belle broke in 3 days after I left. The look on her face, realizing she'd been caught in 4K, was almost worth all the trouble. But Constance kept fighting, waving a folder thick with bogus complaints, noise, vegetable garden violations, claims I'd threatened the entire community. She twisted everything. Lady, you'll regret messing with a working man's retirement dream, somehow became terroristic threats in her retelling. But Bennett wasn't buying it. He noticed Belle's lease was on Constance's letterhead and asked, "Ma'am, are you this woman's landlord?" Constance started stammering, and suddenly the narrative shifted. The cops gave Belle 2 hours to get out. Constance hissed, "This isn't over." I told her, looking forward to it. But the minute those squad cars left, she and Belle were plotting again. Found a business card shoved in my door the next morning, Belle Winters, adverse possession specialist. Consultation, 500. Adverse possession, successful in 47 states. That's when it hit me. This was no random squatting. This was organized professional theft. My survey documents, spare keys, even my grandfather's old tackle box, all missing. Water bills, power bills, now in Belle's name, dating back months. And Floyd? He caught them on video at 1 a.m., loading boxes into a Tesla. There was a third figure, too, a man in a suit, California plates. Floyd just looked at me and said, "Son, this isn't random. They're running a game on you." That taste of dread in my mouth. That was when I realized I wasn't fighting just a nosy HOA. This was organized crime. Next morning, it only got worse. Belle hadn't just been living there. She was running a business. My shed had turned into a massage parlor, sacred healing space sign and all. Online reviews, 6 weeks worth, praised authentic lakefront retreats and farm-to-table experiences in my own vegetable garden. And my electric bill? Nearly $900 for a single month. Turns out, she'd installed cryptocurrency mining rigs in my basement. Water usage through the roof, thanks to her sacred cleansing ceremonies. And the kicker? She was using her illegal business as evidence that I was running unlicensed commercial operations, thanks to Constance's complaints. Digging into Belle's background turned my blood cold. She'd pulled this exact scam in Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, always with the same MO, target isolated men with property, team up with local power, grind them down. And the suit? He was a California attorney named Morse, specializing in adverse possession. His website read like a how-to guide for legal theft. Well, I found an old surveyor, Pete, 82 years old. He pulled out notes showing our property line actually ran 60 feet further east than recorded. Suddenly, my family owned not just our cabin, but the land 3 of those McMansions sat on, including Constance's prized infinity pool. Then the feds stepped in. FBI agent Bennett, tough as nails, explained, this was an interstate fraud ring. Belle's real name? Bethany Walsh, one in Nevada. Her laptop? Full of spreadsheets listing targets, me at the top. They've been tracking my work schedule, financials, even my family. They tried to buy me out for a fraction of what the land was worth, figuring I'd never know. Community support, though, that's what turned the tide. Floyd rallied the old-timers. Dolores at the hardware store copied documents for free. Big Jim started digging through county records. Retired Judge Miriam showed up, taught me Montana law, and proved these California criminals hadn't done their homework. Constance? She doubled down, slandered my name, called my ex-wife, spread rumors I was dangerous. They slashed my truck tires, filed anonymous OSHA complaints at every construction site where I worked, tried to get my company to fire me. But the moment that changed everything came at 2 a.m. security alarm went off. 3 mass figures, gasoline cans, caught on camera. They ran when deputies showed up, but the message was clear: give up or else. FBI cranked up the protection. But I wasn't about to run. My family had survived too much to hand it all over to thieves. Then came the grand jury. The feds filed a 47-count indictment: RICO, mail fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, witness intimidation. Accounts frozen, co-conspirators flipping. Constance got arrested at dawn. The whole town watched as news cameras rolled. Trial day, the courthouse was packed, locals on my side, HOA supporters on the other, media everywhere. Prosecutor showed the jury exactly how the scam worked, played audio of them planning it. Belle, in a last-ditch bid, claimed she was the real victim. But Constance broke on the stand, admitted she'd been paid to target me, picked because I was isolated, working class, supposedly an easy mark. The jury didn't take long. Guilty, all counts. Morse, Bell, the rest, facing decades in prison. Federal asset forfeiture put millions back in victims' pockets. The HOA? Dissolved. Homeowners had to pay fair market value for the land they'd been squatting on. Constance's precious infinity pool became a fish pond for the kids. And me? I got to keep my land, rebuild the dock, plant new trees where the old ones have been killed. Watch my grandson fish off the same dock his great-granddad built. And you know what? The battle wasn't just mine. The case inspired new laws, property rights clinics, and a festival every year where the whole community, old-timers and newcomers, came together. We turned Constance's war room into an emergency center, Dolores' store into a property rights headquarters, and my nightmare into a rallying cry for people everywhere who've been pushed around by folks with too much money and not enough decency. Looking back, I realize now this wasn't just about a piece of land. It was about standing up when everyone tells you to sit down, about fighting back when the whole world says you can't win, about community, legacy, and the kind of justice that comes when ordinary folks refuse to roll over. So let me ask you, what would you do if someone tried to steal everything your family built? How far would you go to defend what's yours? Drop your wildest HOA or neighbor story in the comments, because trust me, you never know who's listening or who you might inspire to fight back.